eMystery presents A Father's Heartbreaking Final Moments with His Dying Toddler Have Been Revealed. Alfie Evans was a seriously ill baby, whose devoted parents fought tooth and nail to keep him alive. The courts eventually decided that he could not have further treatment abroad, but even in the youngster's very final moments on this earth, his father Tom would not give up the fight. Tom Evans and Kate James are a couple from Liverpool, UK, who have been through something that no parents ever should. Their story is heartbreaking, and what happened to them was widely reported by the media worldwide. In May 2016, Tom and Kate welcomed a baby boy into the world, whom they named Alfie. But by December of that year, things had already started to go wrong. Alfie ended up in the hospital after going through a series of seizures. And it was just the beginning of a long and painful road for him and his parents. Little Alfie was diagnosed. He ended up in a minimally conscious state for months on end, with doctors unable to figure out what precisely had caused the problem. This led to clashes between medical professionals and Alfie's parents. Tom and Kate ended up in a tense dispute with the Alder Children's Hospital, the facility where Alfie was being treated. The hospital wanted to take Alfie off of life support because they felt there was no further benefit to keeping him on it. Indeed, the hospital thought that keeping Alfie alive by ventilator was futile because of the catastrophic degradation of his brain tissue that showed up on his scans. It was of the opinion that it was unkind and inhumane to treat him anymore. However, Tom and Kate vehemently disagreed. They were totally against the idea of turning off their son's life support because they believed that more could be done for him. Tom even went as far as describing his son as a prisoner at Alder Children's Hospital. First of all, Alfie's parents took their case to court. However, they were defeated. The High Court ruled that the hospital was right to turn off the child's ventilator because there was no hope for his recovery. The devastated parents then brought their argument to the Court of Appeal as well as the European Court of Human Rights. But each time, Tom and Kate were unsuccessful. In a desperate bid to keep their son alive, they tried to take him abroad for treatment. In fact, Tom even traveled to Rome, Italy, to meet Pope Francis, who had tweeted kind words about Alfie in the past. The Pope agreed to try and save Alfie, and soon after that, the sick youngster was given Italian citizenship, so that he could travel to Italy to receive further treatment. The Bambino Gesù Hospital in Rome had various ideas for operations that it claimed might help Alfie breathe, but the European Court of Human Rights denied Alfie's parents permission to take him to Rome. At this point, Tom and Kate were desperate, and they tried to make new submissions to the High Court, which were dismissed. Alfie had only a few days left to live. Alfie's life support was turned off that same day, on April 23, 2018, but Tom and Kate still didn't give up over the painful days that followed. They kept fighting to take their son abroad, but the courts would not allow him to be removed from the UK. By April 28th, Alfie had passed away. Supporters of the parents were devastated by the news, but there was something particularly poignant about Alfie's final few moments, as his dad showed that he would do anything to keep him alive. Alfie's parents had campaigned tirelessly to stop their son's ventilator from being turned off, but in the end, there was nothing that they could do to stop the hospital from going ahead with it. Alfie did manage to breathe unaided for a while though, but eventually, he was no longer able to breathe. So Tom made one final gallant effort to save his son's life. According to a relative, Alfie's dad desperately tried to help his son breathe again by giving him mouth-to-mouth treatment. He was blowing and blowing and blowing, the relative called, but the resuscitation technique proved futile, and Alfie officially slipped away at 2:30 in the morning. The fight was finally over for the little boy at the center of all the legal battles. After his son's death, Tom took to Facebook to break the news to the world. "My gladiator laid down his shield and gained his wings. Absolutely heartbroken," he wrote. So were many people worldwide who had followed Alfie's turbulent journey. Later that day, more than 1,000 members of the public gathered outside Alder Hospital and released hundreds of balloons to commemorate Alfie's short life. When the Pope heard about Alfie's death, he tweeted that he was deeply moved by the news. The hospital, which had found itself under intense pressure and alleged abuse from supporters of Alfie's parents, also released a statement after Alfie passed away. It acknowledged how it had been a devastating journey for the family. Alfie's case divided people all over the world. Whether it was ethically, morally, or medically right to switch off the youngster's life support is something that people will never agree on. But what is undeniable is that Alfie's parents loved him deeply, right up until his very final moments. Katie Kneff was checking out at her local Walmart store when she had a crisis at the cash register. The young mom did everything she could to handle the situation, but little did she know that another customer was watching, and they felt that they had to step in. Katie lives in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. In 2014, she and her husband Jimmy became the parents of a little boy. As a result, they were learning how to manage their family budget, which, since Katie was a stay-at-home mom, consisted of just one income. To make their money go further, Katie was open to pursuing supermarket deals. So when a friend told the young mom that her local Walmart was willing to price match on products, she decided to take full advantage. Since Katie's infant child was going through a lot of nappies, she figured she'd pay a visit to the nearby Walmart and purchase 4 large boxes of Pampers, which Katie knew were cheaper at another store. However, when she reached the checkout, the cashier told her that they would only price match one of the items. No doubt deflated, Katie ditched 3 of the boxes and proceeded to check out with just one. However, the mom had no idea that her situation was being monitored by another customer, who subsequently decided to intervene. The woman in question was Carol Flynn. The 73-year-old was visiting Walmart to buy supplies for her cat and treat herself to a new blouse. But after realizing that Katie had been forced to abandon 3 of her 148-count diaper boxes, the retiree's Sunday evening took an unforeseen turn. Recalling her interaction with the young mom, Flynn subsequently told WTRV that she said, "It looks to me like you had 4 boxes of Pampers and you're only buying 1. So I said, 'Do you have children?' And she said, 'Yes, I have a little boy who is 4 months and he uses a lot of diapers.' And I said, 'I think you need the other 3 boxes then.' Off her own back, Flynn decided that she'd pay it forward by purchasing the 3 extra boxes of diapers on Katie's behalf. The item set the retiree back $120, but as Flynn put it in another interview with Argus Leader, "You can't take it with you." And this wasn't the first time that selfless Flynn had lived by the pay-it-forward philosophy. She had committed random acts of kindness on a much smaller scale before, including buying a meal for the people in a car behind her at a drive-thru. However, thanks to another Walmart customer, this time her actions went viral. Jason Yoshino had been behind both Flynn and Katie in the line for the checkout, and when he realized what was happening, he decided to film the heartwarming encounter on his phone. He later posted the footage on his Facebook page, where it quickly became an online sensation. Commenting on the incident he'd witnessed, Yoshino told the Argus Leader, "Me and my wife were stunned. You hear about those things, but you don't see them in real life. It definitely touched a chord with me. I always try to inspire others, and I'm a huge advocate of uplifting and changing the world. I'll never forget it, to be honest with you." Flynn remained completely unaware of her viral fame for around 12 hours, until she received a phone call from her local paper asking her to comment on the incident. But while she was happy to talk about what happened, Flynn later said that she hadn't bought the diapers to win herself any recognition. Explaining why she had stepped in to help Katie that day, Flynn said, "I just think we should do things like that. That's kind of my thinking." She added that her faith in God also had a part to play, as well as the fact that she'd started looking at life a little differently now that she was retired. Flynn revealed that she was now much more likely to take notice of people's struggles than when she was young. "My life is not moving as fast as it used to," she explained. "I used to get in line and be impatient if I had to wait. When you get older, you slow down and take a look at what's around us." But while Flynn didn't think much of her actions, to Katie they meant a great deal. Not only had the extra nappies given her young family some financial respite, but the stranger's good deed had also restored Katie's faith in humanity. Recalling her action to Flynn's act of kindness, Katie revealed, "I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I kept saying thank you and God bless you. Then I walked out in the parking lot and started crying. It just hit me. It was an awesome statement of what God's love does." Unsurprisingly, Katie wasn't the only one to praise Flynn for her selflessness. After learning of the customer's good deed, Walmart donated $1,500 to March of Dimes. Flynn had worked at the nonprofit for almost 3 decades, helping the organization in its efforts to increase the well-being of babies and their mothers. Flynn told the Argus Leader, "March of Dimes will always be very dear to my heart. If you work for an organization like that, you need to be passionate about it, or it's just a job. I became passionate." On top of the donation, her former colleagues of March of Dimes presented Flynn with a gift basket, while Walmart handed her a gift card worth $100. And it didn't take long for the retiree to decide what she would spend her voucher on. "I should buy diapers with it," she said. While Flynn clearly had no intention of bringing an end to her giving, it seemed that her generous spirit had rubbed off on those around her. Katie in particular was eager to pay her good deed forward to another deserving candidate at some point in the future. After all, she knows how much even the smallest of gestures can mean to someone in need. Thanks for watching another heartwarming video. Please check out our channel for more stories that will make your heart melt.